could not think of a better guest to have on to give us more information about the Benghazi hearings and about the current situation that he predicted back when Benghazi happened, now unfolding in Syria. And that's because he ran Operation Stratus, Ivy, Able Danger, and other secret operations against al-Qaeda and the Wahhabists in Afghanistan and other countries. And he was ordered not once but twice to not pull the trigger to kill bin Laden when they knew exactly where he was in 2001 before 9/11. We just, of course, had Michael Savage on the last hour. Dr. Jerome Corsi's coming up in the next hour. Colonel Shaffer joins us for the next 20 minutes. LondonCenter.org is one of the consultancies he is engaged in. He, of course, blew the whistle about some of the stand-downs going after bin Laden. They tried to persecute him as a whistleblower, but he survived that thanks to support. He's also a best-selling author and has a new book out we'll tell you about as well. But before we do that, I've just got to say, wow, Colonel Shaffer, it's got to be good for you being one of the first people to expose what was happening at Benghazi, and I know taking a lot of heat, to now see more and more of it come out. Has that taken some of the heat off you?
Well, yes and no, Alex. I mean, I think you and others have supported me on this from day one. Thank you. With that said, it's been a very unpopular position even now because, you know, at the heart of this is really Hillary Clinton, who is the chosen one for the Democrat candidacy for president. So as much as I think rational people, and by the way, I've been getting questions from the left, some of my friends on the left saying, hey, do you really think this is all true? It's like, yeah, it's all true. And I think the hearings should have, if it was a Democrat Congress questioning a Republican candidate, it would have been all over for that candidate. But instead, the very email, Alex, which completely showed that Miss Clinton was lying. And even in the end, when they asked her about the arms deal, which, by the way, has been highly documented by the investigation, by whistleblowers, everybody knows there was an arms deal at the heart of Benghazi. She got away with lying about that, which, frankly, at this point, my understanding is that Congress is now looking at perjury charges because they have evidence that she did know about the arms deal of trying to get these arms moved around Libya, moving them into Turkey, which then in turn they would be moved into Syria. And by the way, another guy who I respect immensely was involved in that. Lieutenant General Mike Flynn, the director of BIA, has admitted on the record that, yes, he was part of the arms deal. He was directed to do this sort of thing. So, Alex, that there's just no doubt about what was at the center of Benghazi, and yet the mainstream media continues to ignore it, and people like me are continued to, Media Matters even now consistently says that somehow I'm fantasizing about what happened in Benghazi. It's truly bizarre.
Well, you were one of the first within a week of it happening to come on this show and to go on Fox and other channels and talk about an arms deal, talk about the Turkish ambassador, to break down what happened, to warn about missiles getting into the hands of al-Qaeda, the fact that ISIS, once it came up a few years ago, you said, no, that is a Wahhabist group as well. Al-Nusra is al-Qaeda. That's all been proven to be accurate now, and we see this whole thing metastasizing. You said last year that there should be criminal charges in a Newsmax article for Hillary and the clear cover-up. So I would imagine that in a way you might be under more heat now because it is an election year.
Well, this is interesting because that's yes and no. Because clearly, Alex, the part of the issue now becomes how can the other side, the Republicans, use this to their advantage. So I think if Hillary does survive the primaries, the Republicans are going to go into this with a great deal of ammunition to use against her. Because this is all, again, on the record. So, yeah, I think my Democrat friends are pretty upset with me about the fact that, there are Democrats who actually recognize what's going on, but because they're so loyal to their party, they choose to look the other way. And those are the guys I think I'm most with odds with. But then again, we've talked to part of what I do. My job is to talk to presidential candidates. I can't say by name who they are, but we've talked to them all as best we can. And the idea is we're going to give them factual information that is based on what is known and can be proven via hard copy documents. So this now, at this point, like you point out, Alex, this is all hard copy, well researched, fully recognized as fact that there was an arms deal, that Hillary Clinton was involved, that the deal went bad, and she knew the night of the attack, or the day after, the 12th of September, that you had Al-Qaeda terrorists involved. And frankly, I still stand by my belief that they were fully willing to allow Chris Stevens to go to his death knowing something was going to happen.
Sure. Well, I've interviewed other whistleblowers after you've been on, Tosh Plumley, others, CIA pilots, and others, and I've talked to other military people. I'm just going to leave it at that. It's known that there were drones overhead. You said that years ago. It's come out. You've come out and said you've gotten intel that Obama was watching a part of the 7 hours as it unfolded.
I stick by that comment, yes.
Well, this is just outrageous then. I mean, is it an arms deal and they didn't know what to do? Or does it go further? Did somebody in a government outside of Al-Qaeda want to get rid of the ambassador so there wouldn't be any fingerprints on this arms transfer?
Well, it's very clear at this point that Stevens was the key. He was the pivot man. He knew everything. He was involved. It was his interest to do this. They really thought, Alex, at the time, and this is one of the big misconceptions, I think we're going to continue to pay for this mistake for years, that the Muslim Brotherhood could be a trusted ally, that they would be a good ally, a good proxy to work with us in place of our other Arab allies. And that was what their assumption was. So I think when they started seeing that the Brotherhood was not going to be a good partner, they were too far in to say, we can't to stop it. I think they got themselves in over their head. I think Chris Stevens was part of that completely ill-thought, badly managed effort to bring the Brotherhood into essentially our sphere of influence. And I think because of that, because they all saw it going bad, and look, Hillary Clinton's not a stupid woman at all. I think they recognized that as much as they needed to get rid of information, to get rid of people, this was a good way to
sure.
just kind of let things fly. And that's why you didn't see, I mean, Alex, think about this. This was about a little more than 2 months out before a major presidential election. How is it you don't do maximum effort to go recover an ambassador who goes missing? Think about that. If it was under any other president that I know of, that would have been the primary thing. Everybody would have been scrambling to figure out where he was at.
Well, we know they were countermanding the orders of the military to save these people. And so when they get caught, I mean, we know they did it. It's going to bring them all down.
And so, as you stipulate, there is documentary evidence, again, that someone ordered every command. And now, keep in mind, Alex, there's an automatic process. Once a terror attack is undergoing, once an embassy is under siege, there's an automatic process which kicks in. It's basically the worst case scenario. People start moving. Someone called around to every command and control headquarters and stopped it. So that means someone had to literally intercede directly in stopping all of the military actions from occurring. And this remains one of those areas where we know bits and pieces. We don't know the whole picture. But yes, someone did order all the forces which would have been scrambling to get to Libya stand down. So why would you do that? So that means a big
Let me ask you this big question. Now that we see the aftermath years later, ISIS, which is just Al-Qaeda, as you do in your organization, you go around, educate Congress, you educate the candidates. Right. You're in an info war with the truth. When the White House 3 years ago was saying, oh, these are all good rebels, they're wonderful, you went and exposed that with other military people that it was almost all radical Saudi Arabian Wahhabist. So they clearly know that. Then what are they thinking? What's the end game? Where is this going? What are they going to do? Like I asked you years ago when this first happened, what are they going to do when radicals use those Stinger missiles and other surface-to-air missiles to shoot down airliners? They can't cover it all up. What's going to unfold? What were they thinking? I mean, you know, in the old days, just 15 years ago, you used to run missions. Some of it's come out in the news. Trying to find old Stingers, you guys would go through all sorts of hell just to get a few old Stingers. Now you've got hundreds of modern ones being given to these crazies. What is the establishment thinking?
Well, at this point in time, I think that's part of the issue. Is they got completely out of control. They know, for example, Alex, that these things are kind of scattered all over. And I think this is where the real fear remains, because the last time a credible terrorist organization tried this was Al-Qaeda in 2002 in Kenya, where they attempted to take down 2 Israeli charter aircraft. It didn't work for any number of reasons, thank goodness. But imagine now we have that situation where Al-Qaeda does have, and ISIS does have, literally crates of these things. And I think this is where we don't know what's going on, and I think we're blind. What's the end game? Well, I don't know exactly what the leadership was thinking, other than they thought they could cut deals with some of these really worst of the worst terrorists, to think that they could be our partners in the Middle East to bring some level of different stability. And frankly, you know, the whole thing of trying to partner with the Free Syrian Army and the Al-Nusra Front,